Hey everyone, it's Mathew Sanford again. Remember, I'm the yoga teacher for 29 years, get along in a wheelchair, but I've been teaching people how to come home to their body through all different kinds of conditions, medical conditions, all sorts of conditions. This is the week 4 of a 7-week course on the effect of trauma on the mind-body relationships and ways to utilize the body not just as a tool but as a teacher for that's the body that does a lot. There's a lot of learning that goes from body to mind, and that's really important when you have a mind that is protecting and surviving against trauma, right? So just a quick review again. I'm trying to get across a sensation based approach, meaning like there's the sensation of being empty and full. Like everyone drop your chest, that'd be rolling your shoulders down, dropping here. That'd be the sensation more of emptiness, especially while holding your breath, right? Opening your chest, expanding outward, right, has a sensation of fullness. Notice also that when you sit up straight on your sitting bones, like do that right now, or slouch again and let your sitting bones be more like balloons or like butter, right? You don't feel your legs as more. As you come into an expansion of fullness, right? That's a sensation. We also took some time to talk about the sensation of grounding, how to first soften your organs of perception, like soften your eyes, the inside of your mouth, relax your belly to relax your throat. Let that inward feeling start to happen. And know that when you create that more overt quiet, you can also ground it. So we had a week of like grounding hands and feet and feeling like more connection, right, as you get quiet. And you can even put the sensation of strength there in while you're being more quiet. All those things can be conjoined together. And then last week we talked more about balance. And balance not just being teeter-totter balance, but knowing that you're stronger in both mind and body when you're in balance. And so, like, for example, if you're standing on one foot, if you can stand up, you're on one foot, someone can push you over way easier. That's physical balance. But what I wanted to get across last week was that balance is more than just an accomplishment. It's the equal distribution of presence throughout your body. So the sensation of balance has as much to do with filling the vessel from inside to out with some of the quieter elements of you becoming embodied, right? That's also balance, not overworking. So for example, a lot of you go through your day and you may not even notice that you clench your jaw and you grip the inside of your mouth. That's being out of balance, right? There's a whole bunch of things where balance. And today, what I want to focus more on is the relationship between these things we've done before and the sensation of expansion. Now, one of the things as a yoga teacher, I'm trying to get across to you, if you're a survivor of trauma, but also if you're helping people with trauma and or both, is that there's a really important relationship between expansion and some of the other things we've done. And also that mind enters the body through reference. So you've got this thing that like floats around, whatever you want to call it, and it doesn't quite know where your body is until you move something or until you touch something. So the basic fundamental mind-body truth when you're trying to help someone is know that they often need reference in order for mind to find the body. So a real commonplace example I often give is you're laying very comfortable at night in your bed, you're not moving, you're warm, and you might not be able to tell because you haven't moved for a while, like where your feet are until you move it and it touches the blanket. Mind enters the body through reference. So here's another truth about expansion, or expansion. When you watch people that have survived long lives, aging, but also have gone through a lot of stuff, they tend to pull away from the outer edges. There's a sensation of disconnection that starts to happen, right? And this is going to happen as you age, and that's inevitable. But it also can often happen to someone that's gone through a lot of trauma. So the sensation of receding is actually one of the symptoms of disconnection, right? And there's a lot of ways to try to offset that and try to start having practices that create a different level of expansion. Now, here's another paradox, and we're going to put these things to practice. It turns out, like if I were to ask you to locate where your center of your palm is right now, right? You'd have to move your hand, or you'd have to touch. Again, that's the mind enters the body through reference. How do you create mind-body exercises that continually create reference so the mind can start to experience the calming effect of the body's presence? Now, what's strange about this, about the sensation of expansion now, so I can, everyone take your arm up over your head and reach up, like, reach for the sky, like if you could just reach. Well, wait, if you actually ground down and drop the shoulder blade down and stretch up, then reach beyond your fingertips by hitting down through your sitting bones, you can start the sensation of expansion that comes from grounding. Now, it turns out one of the paradoxes is that in order to truly expand and fill the room and fill your body, it turns out that you need some boundary. So this just isn't a psychological thing. We know boundaries are really important psychologically, but in fact, in order to have the sensation of expanding, of filling the vessel, you need to feel some sort of boundary or some sort of reference. So everyone sit up in your chair, sit up straight and tall, right? Start to feel where your feet are, where your sitting bones are. Now hit down through your sitting bones into the seat of your chair. Lift up through your chest. Now already taking time to feel your sitting bones is a form of reference, right? So hit down, rise up, and now extend out through the top of your head too, right? So you're going in multiple directions, a down and up, and now feel the outer tips of your shoulders. And now take a breath at inhalation, and then exhale, and keep extending out through the tips of your shoulders and top of your heads and down through your sitting bones as you exhale. So both on the inhalation, which is a natural expansion, and on the exhalation, you're working to expand. Again, feel your sitting bones, lift your lower abdomen up, press down from your inner groin to your inner knee, down your inner heel. Feel the outer tips of your shoulders. Take an inhalation, feel the expansion of that, and then continue expanding even on exhalation. One more time. Fill the vessel, fill both your fullness and control and your emptiness, the place that you receive more, on the inhalation. Bring it even to more focus into action. So when you exhale, hit down through your sitting bones and stretch out to the top of your head even more. These are simple inward to outward sensations of expansion. So now I want you to take your arms wide. So your arms go wide here, right? And then just get bigger and feel where your fingertips are. So I just rub my fingertips together so I can know exactly where they're in space. Notice where the top of my head is. I touched it, right? Hit down through my sitting bones. Now lift the sternum. Take the shoulder blades back towards the core and go beyond your fingertips. Take a breath. And then release. You're going to find that in order to expand, you need to move towards the midline on one level as you expand outward. There's a direct relationship between going towards the midline, towards your core, which, by the way, the core may be where maybe the intangible part of yourself is, right? Right? You have to go that way and get bigger at the same time. So I want everyone to lean over in your chair, over to the right. Now I want you to hit down through your sitting bones, lift up through your chest. Now draw a line across your chest and take your arm up. Right? Hit the shoulder blade back in, hit down through your sitting bones, extend this way, and breathe. Expansion from a seated position. And then come on back to center. You're going to go the other way now. You're going to lean over, but again, you're using your chair, the seat of your chair, for reference, you're growing this way, you're stretching beyond the top of your head, take your arm up, open across your chest, expand your chest, and go in multiple directions. Shoulder blades, now take a breath, feel all the way down to the bottoms of your feet, and expand. Good, and then come on back. What you're gonna find is that when you're stressed out or when you're anxious, your presence actually shrinks away from the outer edges, right? And that's one of the things that you actually have control over. You can actually take up space. Now, that's one of the things that happens, especially for a kid that's had hard things happen in their life and they're worried they're under threat. They're going to often try not to take up space. And these patterns happen in people without their conscious volition, right? They're not used to taking up space. And that actually has all sorts of effects. They end up not taking up space in the rest of their life. They're afraid to interact with people because instead of feeling their presence, they're actually trying to manage it just with their mind. Now, mind is not that great with presence, right? So mind is actually an organ that allows you to have space and judgment, but not the sensation of expansion, unless it's just imagination, right? And so going through practices, so now we've done this hit down, take your arms wide, stretch this way, right? Feel that. So now we're going to take that to standing up. So everyone, of course, I can't join you with this, right? Because I get around the woods. I want you to stand up. Take your arms and legs wide. Take up space. It's okay. Now we're gonna combine sensations here. So now make sure you're taking your shoulder blades back towards the midline, stretching out beyond your fingertips, making sure your feet are turning straight ahead and rolling your thighs out, because that makes you activate grounding in your legs, right? So you can expand bigger. Grounding and expansion are deeply related. Feeling where your fingers, spread across your palms now, stretch out to the top of your head. Reference also and boundary are crucial to expansion. Now take your arms down and put them on your rib cage, right here. Let that calm you down. Remember, the calming energy is part of what wants to have exercise while you're moving, right? A mind-body approach to where trauma lands includes the quiet, combines it with action. So just take a couple of breaths into your hands. Feel, especially that bottom floating rib. That's a really important place of your spine, by the way, right? And now inhale and take your arms wide. Your feet are pointed straight ahead. Your thighs are rolling out. The shoulders are going back towards the spine as you stretch out to the fingertips. Now that place you just touched, that you can feel the reference in your memory, breathe right into that bottom floating rib. And then exhale and go and stretch even beyond your fingertips even more. So you get this kind of inhalation, exhale, it's like it's undulating. Inhale, fill up the vessel. Touch that rib. Exhale, extend into space. Good. And then take your arms and legs together and stand back into straight. Put your feet together, your legs together. Remember, this is your midline. Your spine in your body is a manifestation of your midline, right? That's a good place. So as you stand there and balance on the four corners of your feet as you're standing, so you start to go inward, trying to figure where the four corners of your feet are, hit your legs together a little bit and feel the rise up through the chest. Press down through your heels and extend out through the top of your head. Keep the shoulder blades down and spreading, right? Ground and expand, right? Because a mountain, this is mountain pose. A mountain is the most grounded thing you're ever going to see. And it's the most majestic. And you're trying to fill up both. Now, take your, now from this midline position, feel what that feels like. Take your legs wide again, 3.5 to 4 feet wide. Take your arms wide, but keep the imprint of the midline, right? So take your arms and legs wide. And again, you know that one of this space, you go beyond your fingertips, down through your heels, right? But the space of breathing into this part of your rib cage at the diaphragm is part of the expansion. Don't forget the sensation of the midline. Extend from the center of your elbow out to the center of your wrists. Open the backs of your knees. Be in your whole body. You get to take up space. Good. And then take your arms down. Bring your legs back together. So it turns out that, like, when people are in the presence of other people, especially people that they're intimidated with, they end up not taking up as much space like that, because somehow in the presence of others, you feel like you're not worthy to be in space sometimes. By the way, everybody has that voice a little bit. And instead of trying to go, hey, I'm worthy, that's good too, sometimes it's just really smart to expand in your body, right? So stand up tall, go back to standing, stand on balance on your feet, take up space, even wiggle your toes. No matter who you're in the room with, they don't get to stop you from wiggling your toes. They don't get to stop you from feeling your heels. Stay in your body when you're in the presence of someone or something that's subtly, and don't do it when it's the hardest. It's hard to do that when you're walking, like in a really what you've perceived to be dangerous. Practice taking up space at home. When you're in your body, use the presence of your body as a way to expand into space and to practice. For when you do that, you will have more control over your life. Now, the other sensations that I really like is practicing the sensation of expansion while having my spine supported. So if you're feeling kind of adventuresome right now, of course, it's like always, this is always up to you. I want you to lay on your back, take your arms and legs wide again, right? And do the same thing we just did standing up, but lying down. Because one of the things when you get uptight and anxious, when anyone does, you lose the sensation of relief. So here, as you lay flat on your back, and by the way, I think everyone should lay flat on their back like 3 times a day. You get 3 servings of laying flat on your back with your arms wide when no one's around. Like it should be like broccoli, or eating vegetables. So arms and legs wide, let the floor support you. Right? Go and stretch from the back side of your body where the support is. Extend out through your heels and beyond your fingertips. Right? And now bend from the elbow and place your hands on your rib cage. Feel that grounding nourishment, that calming energy that happens. Keep that with you. Take your arms wide again. Stretch out through your heels and beyond your fingertips. And use the support of the floor. Soften your jaw, the inside of your mouth. There's the organs of perception. And be strong and full in space while you're being supported. This is a good sensation to practice. I often lay like this in my bed and let the busyness of my life hover above me before I start my day. So I remember where I am in space before all the complexity and worries of my day. It's also a great thing to do before you go to sleep. Guess what? Your relationship to support is up to you, right? You get to study it. And if you can combine grounding, reference, the floor, your bed, with the sensation of expansion and realize that it's yours to control and you just need to practice it. So when it gets in other spaces, like when before you're about to give a online thing to no one in particular, except you see yourself on the screen, it's a good time to actually feel more grounded. You've got all of this potential in your body, ways that your body gets to bring input to your brain that'll allow your brain to have relief. It's so cool. And it's underappreciated by almost all of us. Some days I'm better at it, at utilizing my body and let it teach my mind. Some days I'm not, but always I'm better if I do. All right, everybody. That's the end for today. I would love to receive any questions if you have them. I'll take a quick look. Next week, we'll be talking about a sensation of direction, right? Like, how do you create direction from inside to out? You're going to find that it's easier to study how to create a sense of direction. My son's 21 and he's trying to find the purpose of his life, and good luck with that, right? Huge purposes. But if you can start to practice a sense of direction in your own mind-body relationship, and then let that teach you what it means to move towards something from a grounded place, your body has so much to teach. We're just not used to listening to its song, right? Your body sings you a song. I learned that through paralysis, that even though my spinal cord was severed, my body never stopped talking to me. It never stopped singing to me, right? I just had to learn to listen differently. And what I realized is that when you do that, not only does it allow people with physical disabilities to move better, it helps trauma survivors come home and reclaim the only body they're ever going to have. All right. I don't see any questions. Pat, do you see any that I missed?
Yeah, there were two. I'll read them for you.
Okay.
Give me a second here. Maybe there's more since I checked last, but let's see. Do you have any previous? Oh no, never mind. What was the point of the thighs go out when standing?
Well, what that does, the inner thighs roll out, is that makes you engage your thigh muscles, which actually moves the muscle. If your feet are pointed straight ahead, so that's one way, right? And then you roll the thighs slightly out. That makes your muscles in your thighs engage and grip towards the bone. I'm stringing together a whole bunch of beats. That creates reference, right? And a boundary, which then creates a sense of strength that travels up from the legs to the spine. So what you're going to find in yoga poses, in asanas, right, is that they're going to ask you to engage your body to create grounding, reference, control, and expansion. And that's how a yoga pose works. And so it's just a way to get you to engage your thighs. Because if I just tell you to squeeze your thigh bone with your muscle, with your quadricep, you're going to go, huh? But if I tell you to point your feet straight ahead and roll your thighs out, it actually makes you do it, or helps you to find a way to do it. Yeah, someone's saying I experience quite a bit of tear and some phantom pain comes whenever I'm asked or invited to look inward to my body, right? I tend to ignore these signals so I can be more functional. By the way, ignoring them when you need to be more functional, it's a good strategy, right? The point, is, so do what you got to do to get through your day. But no, I'm not just trying to you're thinking the story you're telling yourself about when I'm invited to look inward, what we're trying to get is sensations that go from body to mind, as opposed. So I'm not just inviting to be inward, like take sensations like brushing your teeth. I hope you brush your teeth. Brushing your teeth and start to feel the freshness in your mouth from the toothpaste, and let that come through your whole body. Don't think that it just has to be this deep, dark inward thing. When you take a shower and it feels good, let that be a sensation of inward direction, right? It doesn't have to be so ominous to be invited inward. You're inward and outward all the time through your day. It's just in certain contexts you don't feel safe doing it, right? And the other thing that's really important is you get to stop going inward as soon as you want. Like, just stop it. Go do something else. If you feel it coming up, that's the point of realizing and mastering your own. You already are inward and outward, by the way. That's just how the nervous system's wired, right? So you get to choose when you pay more attention to it. Someone asked if we have other things available. Yeah, we have a YouTube channel. My nonprofit does. If you go to YouTube and put in Mind Body Solutions, you'll see something called the Hub, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that I just did a really interesting workshop this last week, and have one of my adaptive students from Ireland talking about what it's like to grow up with a disability and never feel like her body fits in any like in public, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. So again, you can either go to our website, mindbodysolutions.org, and find the hub that way, or put in Mind Body Solutions into YouTube and it should come up.
Got one last one here from,
Okay.
Can you share some specific discrete exercises to do if you're in the company of someone who's intimidating?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of funny ones, and then there's some really good ones. I really think the more you feel your feet, right? So I mean, like, wiggle your toes and press down through your heels, right? You let yourself have boundary. So, and even all the things I taught already, like by grounding and expanding, practice your own expansion, because when you're intimidated, right, your mind is doing too much of the leading, right? And it's encountering your own perception of that person's power, and it's making you recede in your mind-body dynamic. So instead of letting your mind lead that, go to your own feet, go to your own body presence, put boundary. Like, so a lot of times when someone's bugging me, so it's not just intimidating, you'll actually, or when I'm really tired, I'll lean forward and press my own forearms onto my thighs and lift my chest. Another subtle thing to do when someone's like, when you're like wanting to do this and receive, is lift your chest. They don't even have to notice it, right? Because this is the dynamic part of human being. This is like the controller and the organizer. It comes, the life force is coming through your spine. So find grounding more, find boundary more, and lift your chest and take up space, because you have the right to the space that your body occupies. No question, no one ever gets to, and unfortunately some of us have had that crossed, right? But that's something that this is why I think part of trauma is a metaphysical injury, is that you have to reclaim your time too, right? Like, you have to know what's in the past, and that right now in my room right here, right now, I get to take up space. And if I practice that, practice taking up space, not just in the presence of intimidating people, right? Take up space where you're in conditions of safety, so that practice can be with you when you're in that context. It's weird because a lot of this is common sense, but it's common sense we've forgotten, right? It's like, dang, and the fact that it seems so simple is exactly why I'm so hopeful, is because simple things can actually be transformative. They don't have to be complex to be transformative. In fact, the older I get, I think the simpler things are the most transformative. So that's my response to that. We'll see you next week talking about a sense of direction from body to mind, from inside to out. Keep on keeping on.